Anita, a homeowner, still in dispute with EQC, in part, only in part. Anita's issue is with the changing roll call of EQC case managers. She's had a dozen, maybe more. But then she was put under higher control under Heidi Barlow, General Manager of the Canterbury Business Unit, who seemed to be troubleshooting and working with case managers to supervise the process, and then she simply disappeared. I asked EQC CEO Sid Miller where she went.
So Heidi has left us, but what happened sort of round about the end of June, my Chief Customer Officer resigned, and what we did was we put in place an interim structure at that time, and that gave me the opportunity really at that time to have a much closer look in terms of the organisation and how do we enhance performance around the Canterbury Business Unit, delivering on claims, and also around preparing event readiness for the future. And key to that was actually looking how do we make sure that we integrate the delivery of all the independent ministerial recommendations and work coming out of the ministerial task force to bring that all together to deliver the best possible customer experience really coming out of that. And so what I did was I then created a new structure basically, which I consulted on about a month ago. And then coming out of that, I've created two new roles, and one's a Deputy Chief Executive, Canterbury and External Affairs, and another one's Deputy Chief Executive Operations. So there was basically, I then ended up with two roles and three people. And from that, Heidi, who was part of the whole consultation and very much supported the structure, though, decided not to declare an expression of interest in one of those roles, recognising that actually, some of the challenge going ahead around, particularly around some of the communication side, was going to be require some sort of new leadership, if you like, in terms of that space. And so she decided to leave at that point.
Right, yet more changes. And there were people who had come under Heidi's wing, as it were. And what we are seeing, I guess, is a continuation of the fact there is no constancy, there is no singularity. You go from case manager to case manager, you go from EQC contact to EQC contact, and that's completely at odds with what the Minister told us when she appeared on Checkpoint in June. Now, I just want to play you the grab. It's about 8 seconds, but here's what she said she was after.
So one of the things that I've done since I've become Minister is ask for a claims management process to be put in place so people aren't pushed from pillar to post.
And people are being pushed from pillar to post, aren't they? They're still being pushed from pillar to post. Constantly new pillars, constantly new posts.
Well, if I could just cover a couple of things there, John. I mean, first of all, Heidi was the General Manager of the Canterbury Business Unit, so wasn't a case manager. In terms of case managers themselves, then what we said was we would ensure that everybody does have a case manager, which is what we've done. We've actually doubled the amount of settlement specialists that we've got in place, up to 39, and our claims resolution, in terms of the number of claims we're settling per month, has gone up from sort of 500 to around about 800 a month now. So we've made a lot of progress in that space. There's still claims there, and we've still got to work through those. So we've very much ensured that actually we have done what we said we were going to do. Yes, there has been some change, and there will continue to be changes. We've got to keep adapting. We've got to deliver against the IMAT recommendations, and we've we're also looking at things like where we've got new claims coming in. What processes improvements can we make to actually resolve those claims quicker?
Adapting
to change.
Absolutely. Can we talk about the new claims coming in? Are they re-repairs?
We've got a mix. We've got about 50% are just requests for information, and then some of those will be reopened claims.
Okay, and so when we last got a re-repairs tally, I think it was at the beginning of April, it was $270 million. What is it now?
I don't have a figure in terms of what the actual the current sort of valuation is for those re-repairs.
Has it gone up from $270 million?
Where we're currently going through the process of doing our valuation, where we will look at all the parameters in terms of what is the inflow of claims, and what does that looks like in terms of the valuation that's coming out of the other end. We're doing
I'm so delighted to have you on Checkpoint, but I don't know what you were saying there. Can I just ask you a very simple question? Have the values of re-repairs gone up from the figure of $270 million that we were given at the beginning of April?
So as we've talked about before, in terms of we do an ILVR evaluation on a 6-month basis. We've done that at the minute. That is going through our process with our board and audit and risk committee. And once it's gone through that, then we will then provide that information to the Treasury and to the Minister at that point.
Is it your expectation it will have gone up from $270 million?
There's always variation, John, because it's not just that re-repairs. It covers a whole range of things, and it varies all the time. It varies every 6 months. Some things go up and some things go down. So yes, there will be variation. Okay,
can we talk about the number of homes where EQC did not properly assess or fix the damage to rubble foundations? Now, I know you will remember how many times I've asked you for the number of those homes on Checkpoint, and you've never been able to give us a figure, and you've told us Treasury are off looking at it. There's been all sorts of estimates. Can you give us the figure now? How many homes do you think will either have had damage that was missed or damage that was inadequately repaired?
No, I can't give you those figures.
Why not?
Because I don't have them.
I'm incredulous you don't have them. I've been asking you for them over a period of many months. And this is absolutely material to where EQC stands. It's absolutely material because these are homes and lives and claimants you're dealing with, and because the government and the taxpayer is going to have to fund the repair work.
And that's why we are still having claims being reopened, and we'll continue to deal with those claims as they come in and address those.
But I'm talking about estimates. I'm talking about no. Last time we spoke, and I'm sorry, it's been a while since we spoke, and it's good to have a catch up. And I don't want to sound as if I am hard to satisfy, but I need a simple ballpark estimate from you because we've never had one. How many foundations were inadequately repaired or had damage that were missed? Ballpark.
I do not know, John. I do not know how many foundations are out there. So I cannot give you that figure. What I can say is that where people find things and they come back to us and they reopen that claim, and we will go through the whole settlement process and deal with the problem that they are facing. But I cannot give you a figure as to how many are out there.
Are Treasury working on estimates?
Well, they will work with our valuation report, which is an estimate.
And what's your valuation report estimate say?
Well, that's what we're working through at the minute. And once that is resolved and that's gone through the required processes, then we will share that.
So when will that be?
I think that'll be probably another 2 or 3 weeks.
So in 2 or 3 weeks' time, you will have an estimate of the number of homes in Christchurch who either had their foundations poorly repaired or damage in their foundations missed completely?
No, we will have an estimate based on the information we know as to what we think the liability could be in terms of going forward with the problems of foundation reopen repairs, sort of the legal cases. Everything is part of that valuation report. So what we will know at that time is what we think our latest valuation is.
When you say latest, what was the previous?
Well, you just use the figure in terms of the reopened repairs.
So $270 million on the 5th of April, but they aren't only foundations, are they?
Well, that can be everything, yeah. Because obviously repairs come back to us. They could be foundation, they could be, or they could be, a crack in a wall or something like that. It's a whole range.
Absolutely, absolutely. You're meant to be the new broom, aren't you? Aren't you the replacement to the obfuscation, the prevarication and the non-answering we used to get? Aren't you the guy who was meant to answer the questions? Aren't you the guy who was meant to know this stuff? Aren't you the guy who was meant to be putting this stuff right? I mean, what are you doing there? I mean, how long have you been CEO of EQC for and you still can't answer really important questions?
John, nobody can answer that question because nobody knows exactly what is out there in terms of the problems you're talking about. The work that I have done quite extensively, particularly over the last year, is look at how we can improve the way that we settle claims. And I think we've done a lot of work with that, and we've settled around about sort of 1,500 of the 3,617 that we last talked about in May. So that's sort of around 35%, and we're making good progress on those claims that have been around with us the longest, and we'll continue to do that. Let's finish here, John.
Okay,
we're also putting in place around where we're getting reopened claims, faster track processes, so we can turn those claims around a lot quicker, and they're the claims that have come in since May.
When do you think, in good faith, you will be able to tell the Minister, and the Minister will be able to tell the people of New Zealand, and more importantly the people of Christchurch, what the total value, ballpark, and we're talking estimate here, of the damage beneath the floors of that city is, either that was missed entirely in the first instance or that has been inadequately repaired?
I couldn't sit here and give you a figure on that today, John.
Sid Miller, who is the CEO of EQC.